And welcome back, everyone, to Entrepreneuring. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, and my guest today is the president of Seidel Technologies, a graduate of the New Mexico State University in chemical engineering, and, as I'm told, a serial entrepreneur. Frank Seidel, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me today.
Thanks for joining us. So is that true? Have I been informed correctly? You're a serial entrepreneur?
Yes. I worked in private industry for about 27 years. Worked for publicly traded companies, and then the last 7 years I've started my own engineering firm in Denver, and we have an office in Calgary, Alberta, Canada as well. But it's been great. I was never fulfilled until I started my own company. For all warts and all.
Was there always a draw for you for those? 27 years. That's a long stint.
Yes.
Working for somebody else. So
yes.
Always in the back of your head.
Yeah, I was just a coward. That's all.
Oh.
So people, oftentimes entrepreneurs get started when there's a life-changing event. So something will happen to them. They'll lose a job or not want to move. That was my case. I didn't want to move from Denver. I had my youngest daughter was still in high school, so I just decided this is the time.
Wow. So that was the catalyst, basically. That was your make or break point.
Yeah, I was ready. I was established in my career and had a lot of friends. So it's all about networking in business, and that's how you find. I really haven't had to market much because I know people, and they'll come to me and understand the kind of work we do and what we can deliver. So we just let our work be our salesman.
Yeah, it's the beauty of networking, basically, right there.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you had your platform built before you even started to build your company.
I did. You either have to have a great idea or experience. People, you have to be differential. People don't hire you for just to hire you. They want an outcome, and they want you to help them make money.
Right.
So we're good at that. But as far as networking goes, I got a fortune cookie a few years ago, and it said that a wise man knows everybody. A wise man knows everything. A shrewd man knows everybody. So I'd rather be shrewd than wise, because if I don't know the answer, I know people that possibly could have the answer.
That is an important, I think, trait to have. Like never be afraid to seek out help, or to seek someone who can find the correct answer for you.
Yeah, and in the business world, it's all about speed. It's quality, but it's also timing. It's getting the information to the right person at the right time. And it may not be a 100% solution, it might be only an 80% solution, but the timeliness makes it more effective.
Right. So let's talk a little bit more about Seidel Technologies specifically. So it's an engineering consulting firm, and I know it's based out of Denver, Colorado. And you said you had an office in Canada as well.
Yes.
So what exactly is it that Seidel Technologies do?
We manage projects for oil and gas companies. So there's large publicly traded companies that have full staffs, and then there's over the last few years during what we call the shale revolution, where since about 2008 we've been extracting hydrocarbons from deep seated shale layers, and it's been a revolution. The United States went from making about 2.8 million barrels of oil a day up to 9.2 barrels of oil a day.
Wow, that is an incredible growth. Wow.
Yeah, and that's why there's a glut of oil right now in the world, and we took a lot of the market share away from the Middle East countries, and they've opened up their taps to try to capture market share again. So it's a cyclical business, but it's a very interesting time right now, because we found several hundred years of domestic oil and domestic gas. So, and it's because there's so much of it, the price of oil price of hydrocarbons has decreased, and we have economics that we need to meet. So what we do, getting back to your question, what we do is there's small companies that don't have technical staffs. So we have an a la carte menu. It's whatever you want. If you any particular skill set, and if we don't have it, we go find it. I've had people call me up and said, "Hey, I need an engineer that speaks Danish," right? And so I was able to find one and put him to work. So special skill sets. That's what we focus on.
Wow, yeah, that's a really specific request. I mean, so you basically you're filling in gaps in other companies' staff.
Right, and a lot of times it's knowledge. Like recently, one of our clients is BP, British Petroleum, and we have an expertise for drilling coal bed methane wells, and they didn't know how to do it, so they brought us in, and we taught them, and then we left. So we get in, we get out. Try to move people from point A to point B as quick as possible.
This has to be quite a point of pride for you, getting to teach these giants how to do something new.
Yeah, I just love teaching. So, recently we've been doing teaching for the Chinese National Oil Company.
Oh wow!
So, and that's interesting because I've not been around Chinese people very much, but they're beautiful people.
Do you get to travel a lot with the work that you do?
I can, and I have been, but I try not to. I like focusing on my health, so I have my priorities. Before I was not balanced. I was, work all the time, even when I was working for publicly traded companies. And that's why I went on my own. That's what Entrepreneur has done for me, is it's opened up my life. It's given me the ability to, if I want to travel, I can travel. If I want to focus on my health, like by walking 5 miles a day, I can do that. But you have to get your business to a point where you're able to do that, where you can pick and choose.
Yeah.
So I delegate to other folks to do the real work. But if I need to get involved, I get involved. So
I can really relate to that. I just recently started working for myself, and I feel like I never get to turn it off. I feel like at all hours of the day. It's
blended, right? It's always, it's like I'm down here in Las Cruces right now, and I'm at the foundation board meetings, but I'm doing business in between, and then I'm enjoying the nice warm weather down here. So it's a great balance if you focus on it and work towards that as a great goal.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to find. Because at the moment it's just like, well, I'm just going to go run right now. Because if I don't do it now, it's not going to get done. But then I definitely don't really have a flow with my schedule at the moment.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of young people. Like I've got one of my younger associates traveling with me today, and he and I have had a lot of conversations. And I feel that 80% of the new graduates, they want to be able to go to an office. They want to be able to have a salary, that they know that's going to come. They want benefits. They want their name on a door. But there's maybe 20% that's not for them. They get itchy when they have to wear a tie, or they would rather, go run or take care of their dog or whatever whenever they want to. And so that the world of those people, their world is opened up, because now you can work from home, work remote, but you have to be disciplined, right? You have to
absolutely
find a way to make sure that you stay focused on work, but also go do what you need to do when you need to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, the world of distractions, I feel like the distractions have become more and more plentiful and easy to access in recent years. So
are you a millennial?
Technically, I guess I would be.
Okay.
I feel like I'm not, because for me, I hear the term millennial, and I'm like, oh, those are the kids that have never known anything other than a smartphone. Whereas I was right on that cusp. I remember getting a car before I had my first cell phone, and how bizarre that seems to me now. Thinking back, what parent would give their child a motor vehicle without being able to check in on them? but I was just at that cusp. So technically, if you look up the years that is considered millennial, I am. But I still use the term referring to another group of people, and have to catch myself like, well, no, Garrett, you're technically a millennial.
Well, the reason why I ask, you do have a lot of distractions. You know, I mean, you have your phone is part of your body. You know, it's attached to your body. So, but I think it's important to to understand balance, even when it comes to that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, there is a great power of social media, and we're embracing it. We have a Facebook page and Twitter account, and I study social media because it's important that we get our name out there. People understand who we are, what we're doing, and our great cause. Which our great cause is just to find reliable energy sources for this country. And one of my great goals was to move on from my expertise is oil and gas, but to move on to other domestic energy sources like wind, solar, geothermal, and then the technology that goes with it, like biomimicry, bioengineering, that type of thing. So we're heading in that direction now. We've been at this 7 years. Most overnight successes, according to Loretta Lynn, I think are 15 years. So we got a little ways to go. We have entrepreneurs in my family. The first entrepreneur, well, it goes back. My grandfather had a grocery store in Roy, New Mexico, but my daughter started her own dog care business up in Calgary, Alberta, called Bulldogs Incorporated, and she's got 50 employees, a 40,000 square foot kennel, and she's 31 years old.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so she's my inspiration. Middle daughter's a startup chiropractor, and they've got 2 offices in 2 years, 2 chiropractic clinics. And the youngest daughter, who's also my media manager, she's just graduating from Loyola, New Orleans, and she's going to go off and be a research librarian type of person. And her great goal is to be librarian of Congress. So it's important to have these goals. To find your bliss is the key. I think Joseph Campbell always mentioned that, the great Joseph Campbell that wrote books about the myth, power of the myth, and it's still out there. We still have heroes, people that are out there doing it, revolutionizing things. So I want to do my little part every chance I get, and if I can inspire, that's what I do. That's the main thing, is to create hope.
Yeah, in doing this specific podcast and talking to all different types of entrepreneurs, I've been so impressed by the fact that it kind of seems that no matter who I talk to and no matter what it is that their business entails, that there's always something I feel like anyone who is trying to build their own business can learn from another entrepreneur's experience. Because you may think to yourself, well, I'm not an engineer. Should I go listen to an engineer about their business? And the answer is probably yes, because
you're spot on. I listen to many podcasts like you and I were talking before the show started, and I've gotten some great ideas from the Online Super Coach podcast, which is online trainers, health trainers. And then if you're trying to find something that's hard to sell, probably health or training programs online, there's lots of them, right? So you think that that's a pretty competitive market, which it is. So these guys have found ways to make themselves differential, and they mentioned books that have inspired them. So I've read those books now, and they've inspired me. So they're out there really struggling to find work, or working hard to find work, and I've heard about all kinds of stuff, technology from them, Twitter cards, things I wouldn't run into if I didn't listen to other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. I take a lot of inspiration from comedy podcasts. I mean, I have no interest whatsoever in being a comedian, but knowing how to be funny and to make a seemingly boring conversation approachable and something somebody wants to listen to, I think is a really interesting. For me, I feel like I learn a lot from it about how to sell a product, how I can apply that to my platform and what I'm putting out into the world.
Yeah, so. Comedy, always has a vein of truth in it. That's why we laugh. It helps us laugh at ourselves.
Yeah.
And of course, the secret to comedy is timing. So
Yes. Yes, it is.
when you can interject that story. I've been down here all week, and I've been talking to great people at the Arrowhead Center, and Dr. Broberg, and he was one of the people that started the Arrowhead Center, and he's one of the best storytellers I've been around lately. So it's been a great week, just talking to very interesting people and hearing their stories, and knowing that they're here at New Mexico State, and providing an environment for students to start their own businesses and have the incubation and advisors. And, they have a lot of things that a lot of people don't have, a lot of resources. So, and one thing that I mentioned in some of the material that I gave the university was that the majority of new jobs in the United States were small businesses. So, we're the engine. We entrepreneurs are the engine of the country.
Yeah, I firmly believe that as well. I grew up in a family where my mom and my dad ran their own business. And that's just what I knew. Like, I grew up, I had to learn how to answer the phone professionally, just in case it was a customer, which I thought was, at the time, it was normal for me. Now I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, I don't think everyone necessarily had to do that, but I think it affected me a lot growing up. So back to Seidel Technologies. So you said the reason that the catalyst for you becoming an entrepreneur and starting to build Seidel was you didn't want to leave Denver, Colorado. And am I safe in assuming that that's where you still are to this day?
I am. And that was one reason. Timing, it's just like comedy, right?
Yeah.
Timing is right. My family was raised, and then because going out on your own is risky business. You leave the umbrella of a publicly traded company. But these days, publicly traded companies, they're not the safest place to be either.
No, I feel like every day you open up the paper, you load up Google News, and there it is, massive layoffs at some new company.
Mm-hmm. So you might, and that's what I've seen, in my 27 years in publicly traded companies, was that you're at risk no matter what. So why not take control of your life, and then it's up to you. It's your sweat equity and whatnot. And I like doing it because where I was at in my career, because I did have credibility, and I was able to hit the ground running.
So with you all the way in Denver, how did you end up reconnecting with NMSU?
Well, my family, my mother and father, they weren't wealthy people, but they were people that helped me understand that I needed to give back. I needed to pay forward, and I wouldn't be here where I am today if it wasn't for the institution that I was clueless, coming out of high school. There was many people that helped me. We were talking about my science teacher, Mr. Mann, and we had a senior math class that was at 6 or 7 in the morning, so it was an optional class. But we all went to it. There was, I don't know, maybe a half dozen of us that went to it. But when I got to New Mexico State, the calculus that I took, I'd already had under Mr. Mann in high school. So that's where, it starts there. It starts with, teachers all along that inspire you to try to be a better student, and then to learn. And I've been a serial learner as well. I continue to learn today. I read lots of books and listen to podcasts and watch movies and try to get better every day. But my parents taught me to give back to the community, be a good citizen, and I was at a point where I could do all that. And they invited me to come down to speak at the engineering. It was a year ago. They had me come down to speak at the entrepreneurial encounters that the engineering college was having, and we decided to move it over here and I would sponsor it to the Arrowhead Center, try to connect with more entrepreneurs, not just engineers. So this opened it up, to a wider group of people. So I think there's been quite a bit of, good reception to the entrepreneur encounters.
What exactly is it for those who are listening who may not be familiar with Entrepreneur Encounters at NMSU? What specifically is that program?
What it is, it's through the Arrowhead Center, and we line up entrepreneurs, business people. There's been a variety of them, and everywhere from people from food industry to engineering to software. So it's to show, to demonstrate to students and whoever attends the encounters that this is possible. These people have made it, and they may be the 10% that make it, but at least there's people that have made it and made it more than once, right? That have started one company and then started another company and then started another company. So I've just been adding product lines to my business. We started out as an engineering company, and then we added Sidel Geologic, and now we have Sidel Training. So, and then we're moving into operating companies, and then we're going to be moving on into the other domestic energy types. So, but I've looked into other things as much as as off the wall as new materials for snowboarders. That wick and that keep you dry. So
right.
So we have discussions. We talk, and then buying into all kinds of other small businesses, maybe insurance, maybe tap rooms, and you guys probably know what tap rooms are, don't you?
Oh yes. we just got a new one here locally that I'm quite excited about, though.
There you go. That's a millennial thing too, right? I mean, it's both in that. But what I saw there was, two of my engineers. One of my engineers started his own rum company. He's a rum distiller now.
Oh wow!
And then one is just now starting his own tap room. But the beauty of it is that they got some business acumen working with me, and they decided to go out and follow their passion. And they may do both. They have done both, and they may come back and forth. But the thing is that they've written beautiful business plans, and I like to think that perhaps they got some of that confidence from some of the work we've done. Because oftentimes I'll put people to work and they go, I don't know how to do that. And I said, well, you go away and figure it out and come back and we'll have a discussion. I'll tell you which direction you need to go in. So it's important that people develop that skill of how to figure things out for themselves.
Right. And also to know that it is okay to say, I don't know how to do that.
That's right.
The sooner you admit that to yourself, it's like, okay, well, your path is not laid out before you. Go learn. Go do what you need to do.
Yeah, because as consultants, I don't need them if I have to do it myself anyway. So
exactly,
it's the reason why I hire them is I like to think that that I might be equivalent of a chef, and then I have lots of sous chefs, and we're able to learn to do the work together. They bring in good ideas, and we get better for it. So I like being around young people. They're full of energy, full of new ideas, and are living in a different time, and there's a lot to be gained. You can leverage them,
yeah,
especially on information. There's so much information at your fingertips now.
Oh, there really is, and it's almost overload. And learning how to navigate it and find what is helpful to you is a skill in and of itself.
Yeah, and I leverage subject matter experts, just like people leverage us for being subject matter experts.
Yeah. And working, it sounds like working with a bunch of young people also has the fun side effect of you get to talk about beer every now and then.
Yes, and drink them.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, we talk about them, but the other thing is, to help people find their bliss. That's the key right there. If you can, Zig Ziglar's another great, motivation speaker. I don't know if you've listened to him, but his podcasts are out. It's one of the top podcasts that are out there. And my daughter Haley was listening to them religiously. And but that's what he says. If you can help people in the world, it comes back to you. And I'm a big believer in that.
That's, I mean, yeah. If there's anything I've taken away from talking to you now for the past 20 or so minutes, is that you're clearly very passionate about helping others learn, but also learning yourself. So it sounds like getting involved with Entrepreneur Encounters was just it was kind of a natural fit.
It was. Yeah, because I asked him. I said, of course, the university can use money, and on it everywhere, right? But I wanted to be effective. I wanted not to just fund scholarships or give to the foundation. I wanted to do something a bit different too. So part of the money that I gave to the university, we earmarked it to help the Arrowhead Center, because it's important that something. It's just like the sports program, but it's important that something big come out of this to give it credibility. So if we can get somebody to hit some home runs, it's going to put the Arrowhead Center, not that it's not on the map already, but it's going to continue to legitimize it and then attract talent, right? I think New Mexico's got a lot to offer because of the technology that we have in this state. Los Alamos National Lab, Sandia, White Sands Missile Range. So we have a lot of. We have the only spaceport in the country. So there's spaceport diagrams, and if you go online, we heard a talk from the librarian, Dr. Titus, yesterday, and they have the spaceport plans in the library where people can access them.
So, that's just, I mean, that's astounding.
Yeah, 10 years from now, though, it's going to be, there's a new normal every 10 years or so. So we just have to get used to constant change and find out what works for us. Because if we don't, we get left behind. But the key, though, is education. If we're going to keep up with the rest of the world, and that's the other thing that's changed, is that, that I enjoy, is that we've gone from just the United States to a global community. So we have to learn how to not just dominate the world, but how to work in the world and lead the world. And we are leading the world in many levels. But and New Mexico State has provided that leadership, with agriculture and engineering both.
Yeah, NMSU has just an amazing amount of assets and facilities that I'm impressed by. I mean, I went to a small college, so once I started getting involved with NMSU, it was very impressive to see all of the things that are available to the students attending the college.
Yes, and so, you never know, like you mentioned, you never know where that inspiration is going to come from. When I was running continuous process improvement teams for the companies I've worked for, I would bring somebody in from human resources to sit in that had no clue, or they might have had a clue, but they weren't a subject matter expert sitting on our team, because they would ask the questions that needed to be asked, like, well, why are you doing that, or what does that mean? And we would explain it. And one thing I've learned from teaching is you really got to know your subject in order to teach it, or somebody's going to help you understand that you don't know it so much. So
yeah, it's good information to have. And again, making that kind of admission, learning to make that admission to yourself. It's like, well, I need to learn more. It's good to know when to admit that.
So, I think anybody out there that's wanting to start a business, I think you've got to do the research. You've got to learn how to write a business plan. You've got to learn how to do a demographic analysis and a competitor analysis, and understand what you're getting into. But don't hesitate. Do it. Follow your bliss. If it makes, you'll find that it does make you happy, that you do have energy, that you want to get up in the morning, and that you're so excited that you're going to tear the door off the hinges to get outside to get busy, instead of just being depressed that you have to go back to work. You got to find your bliss and follow it, whatever that might be. It could be a publicly traded company. There's lots to learn. There's I learned a lot about business. I wouldn't have the skill set and the education that even after graduated and went to work for companies, they spent a lot of money training me. So I have, again, I'm very grateful for what they did for me.
Yeah, a lot can be learned working a normal or more traditional job.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a good place to start. But, if you're unhappy, again, follow that bliss.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, Frank, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you for sharing your time and sharing your knowledge with us. Before we go, where else can people find you? I know if you want to find out more information about Sidel Tech, you can go to sideltech.com.
Right, and there's info at sideltech.com, and then my email address is fsidel@sideltech.com. So we have a website, so you can find us, and we're in the Denver area, and but we're available all the time. So if you drop me a note, be happy to help or line you up with whatever resources that you may need.
Oh, well, wonderful. And thank you for that, Frank.
Sure. Thank you for having us.
And everyone, if you'd also like to find out more about Entrepreneur Encounters, go to nmsu.edu. Thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Take care.